morning. It's a sunny day here in Alpharetta as we sit at Skillshot headquarters. Not here by myself, of course, joined by Anatoly Alexeyev as we get ready for a fantastic day of SMITE minor league action. We've got an interesting docket. First up is going to be Flashpoint taking on Team Queso, and then after that we'll see Simplicity go head-to-head with Out Cold Gaming.
The European side of the minor league, I'm curious to see how these teams are going to be able to adapt to that mid-season changes. A lot has changed since they last played.
Later on, we'll see the North American teams play as well. But Flashpoint, Team Queso, these are some interesting squads. Flashpoint is a team that got to come to LAN. We saw some of their play. Of course, the mid lane FaraKrik wasn't there, so unfortunately a little bit of a letdown. Yeah. But Johnny was there. We got to see Johnny on the spot. Some fun stuff there for sure.
Not able to really triumph it over the likes of Hype Unit during the LAN. And huge shout out to the console team being able to stick it to the minor league team. But now going back into their roots up against Queso, where they had a lot of success in Phase 1.
Absolutely. This team, if you're newer to the minor league in these squads, Johnny the jungler is the guy to look at. He's going to be one of the hard carries. He's got incredible, well, kind of everything, but everybody looks out for the Ao Kuang.
Oh, yeah.
So as we jump into picks and bans for game number 1, keep that in your mind. And again, if you're just joining us for Phase 2, if you missed yesterday's console league action, first of all, what are you doing? It's a Monday. You should be watching it. But second of all, we've increased some of the bans. The game has changed on the battlefield as well. I'll leave that to the commentators. But right now, as far as the bans are concerned, both teams will get 3 bans off the top. So we got the Ao Kuang and then 2 more for Team Queso. Flashpoint is going to do AMC and then 2 more. And then we pick, and it's just like normal, 3 picks, 2 bans, etc. So a little bit more strategy to take things off of the board.
An additional throwaway ban is never a bad thing when you're dealing with a very specific player. For example, Flashpoint's Johnny that always has to have the Ao Kuang banned away. And then you have the 2 staple bans that you normally want to do, such as the Mage ADCs, maybe the Freyas, maybe the Chronoses of the world. And then Nike receiving some of those changes as well. Despite Queso being the first pick, don't opt for it.
Yeah, Nike has been taken away, as has Isis. 2 characters that have seen large changes here in the halfway part of our season. Zhong, first selection overall. An interesting choice. He's definitely powerful, but first pick powerful?
I don't know if it's first pick powerful, but it's maybe a strategy that's about to develop into an all-in strategy where it could be in the mage role, sure, coming for Chekio. It could be in the mid lane for Warchi. We'll see where that ends up. But Zhong, regardless, is having a great team fighting presence. Very safe, no matter if he's mid or in the long lane. Could also be in the short lane.
Set's going to come out here for a Flashpoint, most likely in the jungle. That's where we've seen him played in competitive play. And, of course, it's a hard carry, something that Johnny's going to be able to excel on. But Set does have a lot of base numbers as well. You can build him tanky and still bring some damage. So we have heard some rumblings of the solo lane Set. But I certainly think it's more expected to see him in the jungle in the hands of Johnny. Erlang, Shen, and Khepri will pair up with Zhong to confirm Team Queso's first half draft. At the end of the day, I am never going to say no to Erlang Shen.
I agree. Even with some of the nerfs of the spot weakness going down by only 10 damage, it's still going to be a very viable pick regardless. It's funny that you mentioned Set earlier because Snoopy bringing it out in that long lane, a very interesting idea to be able to all in your opposition. But this very last pick from Flashpoint, I wanted to touch on this last pick because FaraKrik is always known for his Janus. And with the addition of this new Staff of Myrmidon item, getting 2 portals or 2 unstable vortexes, I think FaraKrik going to be extra comfortable today.
That's a big deal as well. We're going to see 4 big Arthurian items, and they're big impact. Everyone's going to have a pride win. And again, I'll let the commentators talk to you about it, but the mage version of the item really is interesting because it's not a one-size-fits-all item, but with Janus being a very utility-oriented mage, it certainly fits right in there with what Janus wants to do. Second round bans are done. Flashpoint focusing on some combo characters, no Susano and no Uller, whereas Team Queso on the other side taking care of damage dealers, no Jingwei or Achilles, which leaves Terra to be selected. And we've yet to see what Flashpoint is going to put there in that carry role. You were talking earlier, Toli, how the carry role has expanded. It's now we don't even call it the hunter role anymore. We call it the carry role, and the game has traveled there. We see mages, assassins, everything.
You never really know where you're going to get, whether it's the minor league, console world, or even the pro league, of what these players are going to want to do. But it looks like it's going to be a little bit more standard from Queso's side, as Chernobog will be the last pick. Flashpoint has invested more into a global pressure between the Yamas and the Jormungandr for that World Serpent, but also the mobility side of it between the Hachiman being able to escape.
I love the Terra selection here for Flashpoint as well. Not global anymore, but that aura is a big team fight monster. Will it be enough for Flashpoint to take it? We jump into game 1, Queso versus Flashpoint.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Totally. And we absolutely are jumping in already, right in the middle of the action. Finch here joined by Aggro. Happy to have you here with me. Flashpoint and Queso, two of the top dogs here in the SML in EU, battling it out here early on to try and see if we can get off to a good start.
And Flashpoint back with their full roster, of course, at the Midseason Invitational. Unfortunately, we couldn't see all 5 of these players playing together, but still had some moments of brightness. Not the showing they wanted, of course, losing fairly early, but I imagine that with their whole roster back together, they'll be back to form this time around.
Listen, you know, someone has to be the Sasuke or something like that, you know what I mean? The one that doesn't make it.
Sure.
So Flashpoint fulfilled that role for us. So we'd have the height unit, you know,
Oh, that's true.
storyline. So thank you guys for that.
Appreciate it.
And now you can go right back to fragging like we know you guys do. Johnny on the set this time. And this is one of the things we heard teams talk about when they play up against Flashpoint. Yeah, we can ban the Ao Kuang from this kid, but he's this good at every kind of hyper carry jungler. And Set is certainly that, but we already have some action happening over by the blue buff. Fusify low. WorstTurttle does get the turtle knock up, but it's just not quite enough. Fusify does make it out.
Close, though. That horrific emblem certainly helps out in that regard. Just no one's going to use their beads on that because there were no beads available in that engagement. A bunch of teleports, some shell, and a blink. So you're back to safety in that moment. But Johnny needs to be careful. He might not have his teleporting.
Doesn't seem to be quite right. He uses the clone aggressively because, like you said, at this point he can't swap places with it in order to disengage. And now he's been rooted. WorstTurttle with another opportunity to see maybe he can lock down one more, but Johnny just barely squeezes his way out. WorstTurtle's had a ton of pressure already, man. Erlang Shen's just good.
Yeah, he's good for sure. You should pick him all the time if he's open because he does everything really, really well, and including putting pressure early on, which is exactly what you want to do against a guy like Johnny, who, as you mentioned, plays these late-game hyper carries very well. And there's a bunch of weird stuff going on in this game, but I guess we should start with LeMoGoW here in the solo lane for Flashpoint. I'll get to the Athena ADC in a minute, Doug. LeMoGoW, I said the Flashpoint back at full strength. I just kind of assumed that Sibby was here. He's been such a mainstay for this squad, but playing with LeMoGoW this time around, we'll see how he's able to fill out for this squad. I'm assuming substituting for them this time, but certainly an experienced solo laner that is no stranger to competitive play.
No, not at all. It's not going to be an easy matchup for him either here up against Julio for Team Queso, who's been in this role for this team, for these guys for a long time here now. So that might be a bit of an edge for Team Queso if they can perhaps exploit it. But you put LeMoGoW on Jormungandr, it's not too easy to exploit that matchup in particular. There's some points where if maybe his ultimate's down, you can catch him out, but I think LeMoGoW should, for the most part, be fine.
Zhong definitely is one of those picks that a lot of solo laners like to go to up against the Jormungandr. Can't really get away from you ever as long as he doesn't have that ultimate, as you mentioned. So it's a good one for Julio that he can probably bully LeMoGoW out pretty effectively. But this Athena ADC is kind of the reason that I'm surprised. I really thought it was going to be Zhong ADC and Athena solo when I saw what Queso was locking in the picks and bans. But Chekio just wanted to go with something a little bit different. And really today's ADC is yesterday's duo or solo lane. It's the lane, it's the role that's getting all of this additional farm without sharing at all. In the early game, solo laners are sharing. You've got more pressure from junglers because of Totem of Coup. And the duo lane, a lot of times they don't see any action until they decide it's action time. And you'll see red buff invades, so you have to rotate to those. But overall, this is where you're going to get the majority of your solo farm. And Athena has proven throughout her history as a pick that if you leave her on an island and give her solo farm, she's going to do really, really well. Solo Patrol played her very well for Armada at the Midseason Invitational, but that's just kind of the most recent example. There have been plenty of Athena solo players throughout the SPL, and that's just kind of, this is the next iteration, I suppose, is trying to go with it in this ADC role.
What it's really proven to me, I feel like all of Season 6, and then this phase, as we're starting it, is that it's just that spot that's good, right? I mean, it's like all our classes are strong, I think, depending on when they're able to get their farm and if they are able to get some items online. But the best thing you can do is this, is sit over there in that duo lane and just farm by yourself. and it doesn't matter who you are over there, you're going to look good when you come out 2 or 3 levels ahead of everybody else.
Yes.
So really what's become more important to these teams to figure out is who, and I mean who out of our cast of over 100 characters, do you want getting all this sort of hyper farm? And you can pick whatever you want. For this squad, they want this Athena ahead, because Athena ahead is truly scared.
Exactly right. I mean, think back to the solo lane of Season 2. It was the exact same way. They're alone all the time. Why not try and get them ahead?
Fusify already low. Dracomarino's been pulled back in, and it's Chekio with Defender of Olympus for first blood. Dracomarino gets the Scarab's blessing off, so Johnny ends up falling as well. Warchi claims his life. That's 2 for Queso already to get things started.
Can you imagine an easier way to turn a fight than an Athena ult? You're already getting damage mitigation, a huge burst of damage when she lands, but an Athena with Pythag's piece early on. So then she lands, and all of a sudden, you've got more power, more lifesteal. Everyone from Queso collapses and uses that global ultimate to its fullest. Beautiful fight by Queso. Not my favorite ultimate by FaraKrik. He kind of tries to use that through space and time for damage instead of trying to portal Fusify out of danger. I think that may have been the better option. He would have put himself in some danger to kind of swing wide to his left, our right, to a little bit towards the fire giant pit to then shoot it kind of perpendicular to the map, but that may have been enough to get Flashpoint out of that engagement.
And the tough part is that even if FaraKrik going forward is using his ultimate more for mobility, he's not the only one on the map with that market cornered. I mean, Warchi and Dracomarino have a ton of chase potential because of Defender of Olympus, because Warchi can go up into the sky and pick an enemy to go land on as well. I mean, I don't know. Team Queso might be slightly better at that moving around thing, even than Flashpoint, depending on how they use all these rotational abilities.
It's very true. I mean, Warchi has the ability to lock on to somebody, basically, and when he uses his ultimate, so he's going to be able to chase you pretty easily. Chekio just needs a target to go to, and Warchi can be that target. So it could be tough for Flashpoint to get away. Warchi, again, just uses his ultimate to get back to lane, kind of as a teleport relic.
And Fusify is able to use the second dash to get back to the tier 1. So no big trouble there. But this is what's been so impressive about what Queso's often willing to do, is that they'll just play different stuff. I know that we didn't expect an Athena coming into this game, but we did probably expect it wouldn't be normal, is whatever they were going to do. And that's kind of their identity. And Flashpoint, maybe not quite at the full strength they'd like to be at. They're going to do a little bit of extra work, I think, to adjust to it on the fly.
Queso definitely saw a lot of success towards the beginning half of Phase 1, doing this weird stuff.
Hey, I didn't say it always worked.
Well, yeah, that's true. You just said they did it. You're not wrong. I would have stopped you if you were. But they played a lot of things like Wukong mid, Vamana mid, you know, all this kind of nonsense. And this is something they're comfortable with, these non-traditional compositions.
Flashpoint posturing as if they want to try and fight over mid-harvest, but it's WorstTurttle who wants the action. What a CC chain taunt into root, into abduct. That's easy for Chekio to take down Fusify. FaraKrik dips with that portal, does not want to be here any longer. And just like that, Queso up 3-0, man.
Yeah, that's you don't have a lot of options when Erlang Shen does that to you. You need purification beats.
Yes.
And if you don't have them, you're just kind of dead. Sure, he needed the extra help with the CC from Dracomarino, but if there's mage damage in that spot instead of more CC, Fusify is still dead. Erlang Shen gets to decide when to fight so easily and so effectively, and that's why we see him all the time.
And that is another fight that shows how good Khepri can be, as Kespainify takes quite a bit of damage, but should be okay. How good Khepri can be when he's able to play in this role. I don't think you want Khepri to be your first one in there in most cases. He's so good with that abduct when it's like that last thing that's keeping him trapped and everyone can kind of pile on. When it's just another piece of that CC chain, it feels like it goes on forever. And your options are so limited, man, in terms of how you can get out of there. And Fusify's about to learn yet again. Pulled in right into the pin from WorstTurttle. The Erlang Shen running the early game.
Man, tough engagement there for Fusify. Just steps up a little bit too far, and at this point, you are so far behind. He's 3 of Flashpoint's 4 deaths so far. He's only level 5. Dracomarino's level 8, and this is without Draco getting boots, by the way. He's really resigned himself to sitting in the mid lane and just sharing this farm with Warchi, so what need does he have for movement speed? Let's just get as tanky as possible, as early as possible. He's already got a completed Gauntlet of Thebes, and then he's going to build boots, and he'll just be a full Gauntlet of Thebes ahead of Fusify at this point.
Yeah, that's horrifying. And what I really like more about this Athena in duo is that you do kind of get to cash in on that hyper farm a little bit sooner. I mean, Kespainify's 0-0-0 and he hasn't done anything wrong. It's just that Chang'e can be a part of these fights because of Defender of Olympus so much more often and still be here for all of his farm. He doesn't miss out on anything. It's a great way to sort of utilize the fact that you're getting all this hyper farm over here in the long run.
I also, I completely agree. Chang'e's done everything right so far, pretty much. And I think going back to this Gauntlet of Thieves rush for Dracomarino, it's great up against Johnny's start, where he starts with the cudgel and builds straight into Blackthorn Hammer. Normally that's pen in that slot, but it doesn't have any at this point. And so Draco is unkillable by Johnny. Johnny just can't kill him.
WorstTurttle, the one being aggressive on this time, responds with a 2-man ultimate of his own and a Scarab's Blessing, so he can keep going aggressive. Fusify melts under the pressure, it's too much. And who else is here but Warchi? He rotates in with his ultimate of his own. They don't quite have anyone to lock down now, but this is what I mean. Even against Through Space and Time, it's Queso who are here in bigger numbers.
It is. The problem that I'm seeing, though, Finch, is that they're only getting kills onto Fusify over and over and over again, and he's worth very little at this point. Honestly, Kespainify getting a free wave, a purple buff invade might really be worth more.
Johnny, we haven't seen much of him so far this game. He's been farming, tries to sit on top of Chang'e and bring him down, but not much chance of that working. Narrowly avoids getting rooted, but WorstTurttle, he might have committed a little bit too much to this. There's a lot of backup coming, and WorstTurtle ends up falling to Fusify. Johnny makes it out.
That's huge, and Kespainify is going to get a tier 1 tower because WorstTurtle was on the way towards the left side to defend, and then kind of got pulled in by Johnny's aggressiveness, really showing off just how fast Set is in that Kingslayer ultimate. He can move, man, and Dracomarino just off the mark with that root. If he lands that Solar Flare, then WorstTurtle gets the kill without dying or even really taking a whole lot of damage from that position, but Johnny's just able to wiggle out of there with the movement speed.
Yeah, and this feels like the kind of thing that you know, like a star player does. Is that wasn't like a set play, or well, it was a set play, but it's certainly not something you draw up. You know what I mean? It's something that someone who's really good is able to make work for you in the moment. And somehow Johnny is able to help get that play turned around in favor of a flashpoint when they desperately needed it. Now, this by no means fully erases everything that Case has done up until now, but it does help out a great bit with Kespainify, level 12.
And now, I mean, take a look at the gold difference. It's barely there at all. It's a less than 100 gold difference. Experience is about the same. And it's really not that much about that one kill, though that certainly did help. WorstTurtle was a pretty big bounty on his head at 2-0 and 2 at the time. But it's that Queso has done nothing off of killing Fusify so many times. Sure, he's behind, but the way that the map works now, and that you get this increased experience when you're the lowest experience on your team, and the way that the minions scale in golden experience into the later game, being behind doesn't hurt you nearly as much as it used to. He's already 1 level down now. Sure, he's 45 stacks behind, and that certainly hurts on the Gauntlet of Thebes. He's still squishy, but if you're gonna just keep killing him, who cares? You have to do something else with this pressure.
That's exactly right. Not so much that being behind doesn't hurt, it's the type of being behind, and they weren't behind yet. What Team Queso was doing was building up, I imagine, to like either some invades or some objectives, and then right when they were trying to turn that corner, they end up getting handled a little bit. That cuts out a lot of their momentum.
And you take a look at what Queso is kind of designed to do with this team composition. It's a good team fight overall. They are lacking a little bit of big AoE damage. They've got Julio on the Zhong, of course, but he's going to be mostly bruiser, I imagine. Chang'e's got teleport. That's a team fight relic down. You've got 2 teleports on the team. That means that you can cover split push really well, but you already had someone who covered split push really well in the Chernobog. Who's going to split push you that well on Flashpoint anyways? It's not really something that they excel at. Queso is going to potentially have a tough time in these team fights, I think, because you look across the way, there's going to be more team fight relics for Flashpoint. There's going to be more selfish relics as well for the carries. Johnny's going to be able to go beat Aegis or beats Blink, whereas Chang'e has no beads or Aegis, is going with the teleport Blink combination. Queso really has to be the engagers of the fight. They can't allow Flashpoint to be the one to engage on them. And they have to do it clean, because otherwise I think Flashpoint's going to be able to turn these fights well.
That was a big part of it too. The engagement where Johnny was able to to dive near the tier 1 and pull WorstTurttle up to the side of those mid-harpies. It started with an all-in commit that took a while for them to eventually get that kill on the Fusify. So, as you said, it needs to be efficient. Feels even almost like a slightly better word, where they still have plenty of cooldowns left for the disengage too. As, whoa, I think Fusify might have felt forced into the ultimate. Either way, it's out. And now Dracomarino has to pull Fusify in a spot of honor here, but not too much. Chang'e has now joined the fray. FaraKrik has to portal his way out of there. LeMoGoW feels like he needs to ult as well and does knock up a few. Julio underneath the tier 1 brings Fusify low. Not enough as through space and time does clip for at least some damage.
Man, a weird mix of overcommit on a Fusify and undercommit. If Julio's gonna blink in there, you've gotta convert off it basically, and I really think they could have.
WorstTurttle has found Johnny in the jungle by himself, pushes him out. Tier 1 tower has now been forced down. And WorstTurttle wants a little bit more. He blinks onto Johnny, even uses the 9 turns blessing, but has to be careful at this point while he waits on his heal. Chang'e moves right to the back line, but now he's low, and he must retreat. Team Queso continue to be aggressive, but they haven't gotten a lot of damage off for it.
No, and now Flashpoint is a great opportunity to reinitiate. Tons of Aegis is still available for them as well.
Dracomarino dashes to try and reset to the actual backline. FaraKrik uses portals to get in damage, but that's about all they wrote for that one. Queso gets the tier 1 tower and makes their way out.
Ugly engagement though, Finch. I mean, Queso, why are they all chasing the back harpies? When Janus ult is down, we know that none of the carries have beads. Johnny, FaraKrik, Kespainify, all beadsless. Go to the Gold Fury. I mean, you want nothing more than for Flashpoint to walk in and face check a Gold Fury when you're all there, and you still have so much CC. I mean, you've got the Athena. Use your guaranteed CC. Chang'e's whole build is designed to maximize this part of the game. He's gone cheap item after cheap item so he can keep this power spike and power curve smooth and try to keep it himself in a really competitive spot. Kespainify is already going to outscale him soon. He's got double lifesteal. That means he can really stand and fight very well up against what Queso has. You've got a great opportunity to take your fights now instead of later when Flashpoint has their relics back up, has more items in the bank, which is usually better against tanky compositions, and you've got another teamfight relic for Fusify, who's still level 11, by the way. Why aren't you utilizing that fact? If Queso is really playing too aggressively for kills and not aggressively enough for these objectives.
It is a bit scary for them. We talked about how their all-in initiation really needs to work, need to be the one that starts the fights. I feel like that's going to be even more true with all these slows coming out from Flashpoint. They got the Frostbound and the Gem of Isolation. Going to be hard to run from that, as Fusify is yet again the early target. WorstTurttle gets the kill, and that's FaraKrik's ultimate already down just for damage. Johnny's in the thick of it, though, looking for a little bit more damage. And look how he's out-trading Chang'e. It's so much damage, but Julio puts a stop to it, steps on his neck, and Chang'e gets credit.
Warchi going to use that ultimate, just trying to slow everybody down, try and catch FaraKrik, but it's not Warchi who will catch him. Well, cancel that, it is a nice 2 through the wall.
Yeah, y'all haven't had to fight the Zhong just yet, have you? And now Julio's making his presence felt 0-2, as into the ultimate goes LeMoGoW to try and force Team Queso to back off a little bit, but this has Gold Fury written all over it. No reason they can't grab that and take the win in the fight.
Yeah, see how good that is, Finch? I mean, not only do you get a couple kills, you get 3 for 0, but this time you get a Gold Fury as well, and it's because you're forcing Flashpoint to go on to your terms. You are the ones dictating the engagement instead of these weird skirmishes in mid lane where it's impossible for you to get anything after the fact. Much, much better that time for Queso.
Struggling to trade when Chang'e has his abilities up against the Athena and takes some damage for it, but now Queso enjoy for themselves about 4,000 gold out in front. And it does feel like this is something they could have started building maybe a little bit sooner, but clearly their team fight is still strong even when it's not about out-rotating you. So they don't need to always be catching you off guard in the laning phase for this draft to work. But with the Gold Fury down, they'll have to wait a little while longer before their next opportunity.
I really feel like Johnny's build is not really taking into account what Queso has built on the other side. I mean, this build works very well against killing ADCs. You've got a ton of HP, and you're just using it you're using that HP as a leverage tool to stick on them in your ultimate. Use those slows from the Frostbound Hammer and whittle them down. I say whittle as if it's slow. It's really not. But there's no traditional ADC this time around. You've got Warchi in the mid lane. Sure, he's your ADC, but Chang'e is who Johnny went on that last fight, and that's an Athena who's got natural protections as a Guardian, who's got a Stone of Binding and a Dynasty Plate Helm, and you've got exactly 0 pen. in your build. If this is not a stone cutting sword, then Johnny's going to have a really hard time killing people quickly. Sure, he might be able to chase them down if it's a Hasten Katana, but it really needs to be stone cutting sword, I think.
Dracomarino does a nice job getting Johnny's needs in the mid lane. That last fight, Johnny, because of that, has no way out. WorstTurttle, it grabs a nice kill pretty easily, and a two-man taunt from Chekio. That pulls them right back into the waiting arms of WorstTurttle. Surrender vote coming out as frustration starts to mount now for Flashpoint. Team Queso have proven to be a little bit too much, and onto the Fire Giant they go. It's just Kespainify and LeMoGoW who are nearby to try and slow down this objective grab, but they're dropping it. They want the fight instead. They go right for Kespainify and force him out.
Just barely able to get away. WorstTurtle's getting a little bit low, and he actually gets knocked into the fire pit. He's going to be taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, he is in some trouble, but LeMoGoW couldn't find the kill initially. Gets him on the back end, but all he does is take down WorstTurtle. He can't stop the Fire Giant from being claimed by Queso, but Julio has it. He can tell exactly where LeMoGoW is, so they should be able to hunt him down without the ult.
We've seen Chernobog get picked into the Jormungandr quite a bit. I believe that's Cyclone Spin who really likes that matchup. When you see a Jormungandr on the other team, I love it personally. It's the 1-2 combo from Chernobog is fairly easy to juke for a lot of characters. Nearly impossible for Jorm. He's just too big. He doesn't have a movement ability really, and you're able to really chew him up pretty quickly once you get him in that route.
We're starting to see now some of our Arthurian items poke their heads out a little bit. Pridewind been picked up by Chekio already. Dracomarino just grabbed his too, and this is right when those items feel so good to build because they obviously thrive even more. They flourish, and you have some protections already built. That's going to add that shield for them when they ultimate. It'll explode for damage, slows everyone that's around it, and obviously makes them even harder to kill themselves.
Yeah, if you weren't watching the SMITE Console League yesterday, you may have missed my soapbox, but if you're a frontliner and you're not building Pridewind, I'm pretty sure you're trolling.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
It is so good. Might be the best item in the game right now.
It's real good, isn't it?
It's, yeah, buy it. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. If you can't think, okay, 20% CDR, and then 80 prots by itself, and then this shield that is guaranteed, by the way. It's not like Odin's shield where if you deplete it, it doesn't do the damage. It still does.
Oh, right, yes, definitely, yes.
It's just, it's happening. It's unstoppable. So, build it. Build it. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, most of Team Queso are in the left lane. Meanwhile, WorstTurtle is doing his best to battle up against Johnny, and the 3-level advantage does him well. Taunted back in, and Chekio gets his 4th kill of the game to put him a part of 11 of the kills that Queso have grabbed so far. And now with a 3-2 split, they're threatening the mid and the dual lane at the same time. LeMoGoW and FaraKrik are the ones defending left, but the mid tier 2, now a distant memory, crumbles under the pressure. And Flashpoint doing everything they can to just try and hold on.
LeMoGoW didn't really get the memo that he's not supposed to be going in at this point, so he's going to lose the ultimate for it. Ultimate does clip Warchi from FaraKrik. Really a wasted through space and time in every sense of the word. If that misses Warchi, you really should have seen it coming from a mile away.
Chekio finds another nice taunt. That brings in FaraKrik and Kespainify. And way into the backline goes Warchi towards LeMoGoW in the fountain. That does mean, though, that he has the angle to help cut off Kespainify, and they grab the kill because of it. All right, Galaxy Brain.
Yeah, that was pretty smart. that was intelligent by Warchi for sure. Fusify walks in, gets plucked right away by Dracomarino, and is insta-dead. Have you heard that one before?
I figured I'd let you have that since I did the other 6 Fusify deaths.
That's very fair. Yeah, thank you. Much appreciated.
No problem. There's enough for it to go around. Left side, Phoenix has now melted to the ground. Team Queso up 14,000 gold, by the way. And around the 11-12 minute mark, we're talking about how Queso hadn't quite done enough with their early pressure to start building a lead. And then they started going for gold Furies and fighting around the FG so that objective could be got. They forced down the tier 1 tower. When they shifted that focus towards an objective mentality, they started running away with it.
Very, very easily. And it really, I do think Flashpoint's builds have betrayed them at this point. I mean, it's too late for Pen now. It's never too late, I suppose, because you need Pen all the time as a damage dealer. But Johnny delayed it far too long for this style of composition. Like I said, I think this can work, and it's probably something that he's tested and likes a lot in more traditional matchups, and I can see it. But when you've got an Athena ADC, you need in an Erlang jungle that is going to be building some level of protection, you just can't ever out-trade him. I mean, he's got stone cutting swords, so he's stripping your prots and gaining them himself. And then he's got a void shield. WorstTurtle's able to out-trade you every day of the week. And then, like I already mentioned, Chekio's build. Fusify going for the Void Stone when he was already 0-4 at least at that point. I think that definitely should have been a Spirit Robe. I still think Spirit Robe is better than Magi's. Magi's is really good against teams that rely on 1 CC and 1 CC only. It's the Ares ult, it's the Erlang, or it's the Hunbat's ult. That's where you want the Magi's, not against a team that has tons of CC like this.
Johnny's beads are on cooldown yet again, so WorstTurttle hunts him down with the taunt. FaraKrik's ultimate goes whizzing past WorstTurtle's head, and that's yet another kill into Johnny. The set has not worked so far here in this game. Warchi's low, so he's going to hang to the back, but underneath the actual Phoenix, there are some knockouts coming up from LeMoGoW, but the rest of Team Queso happy to dive. Julio finds Kespainify, but the mid-Phoenix still healthy. It's been all about the fight so far, and LeMoGoW can't quite handle it.
Warchi still very low, but should be able to get some extra regen. No, actually doesn't have, oh, he does have the Blood Forge, so a little bit of lifesteal. I don't think it's going to matter too much, Finch. They should be able to just walk in.
It looks like they should. A dominant game number 1 here from Team Queso. Flashpoint doing their best to try and hold on, though it looks like Team Queso moved a little bit outside the room to look for a kill. FaraKrik has found WorstTurttle, but once they turn their attention back to the Titan, this one's over and done with. Queso nab game 1.
Impressive stuff from Queso. This weird sort of team composition, like we said, they love to do this kind of stuff. It worked very, very well there, and I still think Flashpoint have enough experience to play better in game 2. I really think that they just didn't play around the draft that Queso had very well. I
think so too. A couple of missteps that really put them behind in the early game, and then at that point, it felt like there wasn't much that they could do. Clearly, Fusify had some struggles. 1-7-1 on the Terra is absolutely not what you're looking for. And I'm not so sure about FaraKrik on the Janus here from what I saw this game either. I don't know if that's what they want, if that's the game design, you using 3 space and time for damage only, but you rarely saw them using it to increase their mobility.
I mean, that's one of FaraKrik's signature selections. This is a priority pick for this team, but I agree, it didn't do very well that game. And we talked a lot about Johnny's set. They picked it very early on.
Right.
I think Set is good. I don't think he's that great of a jungler. I really feel like Set's best part of his kit is his laning phase. And that's where I like seeing him. I like seeing him made an ADC more than I do in the jungle right now.
We didn't see enough from him there in that game, but like you said, still a chance for Flashpoint to try and turn this around. We'll find out if they do after this break. INAP, powering the control room for the SMITE Minor League.
One game in the books, and we're back here, folks. Tom and Totally bringing you the excitement here, but the excitement is on the battlefield. Team Queso coming through and taking the first game.
The composition made a lot of sense, but where the roles were a little bit off, where Chang'e playing the Athena, I like it though in the long lane. It made a lot of sense, protecting the Zhong Queen, the Chernobog in the mid to late game, and it was kind of a reactive pick towards the Set in the jungle, where Set struggles to find early kills. It's not much of a threat early game, needs items to come online. You leave an Athena to farm in the side lane, it just becomes a second soul laner. Chang'e even picking up the teleport as that relic, not missing out on any guaranteed farm. I love the way he played this game.
Able to be omnipresent every single spot of the map, every single team fight. Chang'e was involved. Big ultimates, big taunts most notably, and big wins here for Team Queso as they take care of Flashpoint. I guess in its most technical form, an upset since Flashpoint was the team that made it to LAN.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we've seen these teams play for a number of times, and Team Queso has generally always been there.
It's always hard to say because Flashpoint are on the down and down since their first great start in the first phase. They're also playing with a sub on LeMoGoW, but I don't think that's why they lost at all. I think a lot of it came down to the 3-man Death Squad roaming from Queso, finding multiple kills.
Well, let's get into game number 2 here for Team Queso versus Flashpoint. FP will have the first selection and, of course, the first ban. And again, 3 bans to start everything off per team. Isis has been looking really, really strong lately. The amount of utility and control that she brings to the battlefield. The amount of control that she brings to the battlefield has never been questioned, but now there's even more.
Yeah, the silence got increased in the duration, the protections that she steals, instead of receiving a buff of magical protections, you now receive a shield. So the healing getting increased from the ultimate, all things pointing up and up for Isis, but Flashpoint are the ones that wanting to banning away, despite being first pick, questions me.
Also going to ban out the Chekio. Athena gets banned away, not wanting to see that one. Standard bans across the way pretty much elsewhere. Flashpoint does have the option of going for a Freya if people still want to pick that character. I think Freya, despite some of the nerfs, still interesting.
Sure.
But Zhong will be the first selection overall again.
I think that the Zhong is just one of those safe picks that you can never go wrong. I don't know about necessarily first picking it, but in the second phase of Season 6, every team is still trying to figure it out of what their identity is, and this could be a good way to put a staple down where you lock in the Zhong and you have that team fighting presence.
The Erlang Shen first selection here for Team Queso, definitely something I do like to see. I think that the Erlang Shen is one of the strongest characters in the game right now. Similar to what I said about Set earlier, doesn't exactly need the items to do damage because he's got a built-in spot weakness. But you can still build the items, and there's a laundry list of things that make him attractive. He'll be going up against Flashpoint's Zhong, Serqet, and Osiris, though, a rather tanky squadron we've got going on here.
2 anti-healers between the Serqet and the Osiris. Maybe those 2 picks were actually drafted to prevent the counter picks from shutting down the Zhong in the laning phase. No matter where that Zhong goes, you don't have to worry about a Serqet ganking you, and it's probably going to stick in the solo lane for LeMoGoW.
Gab will be chosen here by Team Queso. A nice look. We rarely Gab kind of banned out frequently,
sure,
believe it or not. So nice to see Geb kind of show up, some shields, some ultimates. I think he's a pretty standard support. You know, he's not always top of the crop, but he's very rarely, if ever, at the bottom. Has some issues, but at the end of the day, I mean, Cataclysm, shield, what more can you ask for?
Hey, is a 650 health shield at level 20 good?
I'll take it.
Sure, why not? That's what you can get if you get Pride Win at max prots as well. So
it's pretty nuts. Certainly want to keep an eye on that. Flashpoint, keeping an eye on the mid lane, banning out 2 of the mages, and Team Queso banning out a Khepri and a Jingwei. So one of each kind of flavors there. Bellona chosen for TQ. And Flashpoint, they're going to go with the Soul here, and that's going to be the carry role. And 1 left. We'll see the set one more time. You know, I guess it's got to be a set jungle. I was trying to figure out a way to make aggro happy, because I agree where aggro's at. Aggro says that if you watch game number 1, set in the jungle is not bad per se, but set in the lane is really where he gets to kind of like make use of what he does, set the character being. So we'll see that happen. Chang'e into 2, as you noted, anti-healers. Thumbs up, thumbs bad.
I think it's all about the team fighting. That Wax and Moon going to pay off.
Will it wax or will it wane? John Finch, bring the pain.
More than happy to, Tom. Thank you, Antoli on the desk. We're moving to Flashpoint versus Queso, Finch and aggro here. And it took a little while, but Queso got there in game number 1 in pretty dominant fashion. Can they get it done here with yet another oddball ADC for Chekio? It's going to be the Bellona in the long lane this time as Fusify starting where he left off by taking a bunch of damage.
Well, he's also just going to be kind of keeping Flashpoint on a wild goose chase at this point. Even gets the blink out from Dracomarino, which does basically nothing. If he would have gotten that speed after the fact, my gourd would have been lost. That's all I'm going to say. I would have lost it.
Man, and then how would you have fought Rock Lee then, right?
Couldn't have done it, that's for sure.
That's where you keep all the sand.
Yeah, you know, I never really thought about that connection, I suppose, but it is a gourd, for sure. There's nothing else that Gara's vase could be called, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I never liked Gara. No, we won't do that. I changed my mind. Back into the game. Kespainify being forced out on the Zhong ADC. What's going on here, man? You can just play wherever you want in the long lane now, Anchor? Is that
Yes,
where we're at?
because
Just
as you mentioned, just getting all the farm in the world is good, no matter what character you are. Keep supports out of the mid lane. Make it a hashtag or something.
That's not where we want him. Kespainify has the beads forced out. I think maybe he thought the bludgeon was a little bit closer there than it was. So with the information that he had, I think that had to be done. And just a bit unfortunate that those beads get forced out.
But now he's really in danger of kill potential here, and wouldn't mind seeing WorstTurttle just kind of come right on back to the duo lane. A pin from this position may be enough, but instead he might try and find a kill in mid.
Meanwhile, it's the Chang'e over in the short lane on the right-hand side, which I thought might have been ADC in this matchup. She can do well there. Fusify looks to the initiation of the WorstTurttle with a good Geb shield, gets him out. Warchi responds by rooting Fusify, and Johnny walks up for some free damage. So a lot traded, but no one dies.
And this may look a little bit odd that Fusify is still level 1. Well, yes, 3 people in a minute, 2 minutes makes me want to cry, but it's really the fact that Fusify is just trying to trade his level of farm for WorstTurtle's level of farm. He's trying to keep WorstTurtle busy, but Dracomarino's done a good job of kind of being the bodyguard, patrolling alongside WorstTurtle, just forcing away Fusify Serqet and letting WorstTurtle keep his farm at a healthy level. In fact, he's ahead of Johnny at this point.
It's like someone whose time's just not valuable to them, so they'll just kind of keep hammering away at you all day long until you know, buy what they're selling or something like that. That's what Fusify is, right?
Right, it's like an angry stream chatter. You know? Like,
someone who will just sit in your stream until they finally like break you, because that's all they have all day to do. Yeah.
Yes, like they've got nothing better to do than like stupid stuff, make stupid comments on the internet, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what support in the early game when you're trying to do this strategy is trying to be like.
This is not personal about Fusify. He's doing it. He's doing it right, really.
Yes.
It's just that unfortunately, that's kind of.
I just hope that he's not like a character actor. You know what I mean? Like he really needs to like get in character for this. You know?
So that people in his like his team in the comms are having to deal with it, right?
Right. Like he really needs to be in that right mindset. He's like, sorry guys, it's the part. That's all I can do.
Kespainify does seem to have established a little bit more lane presence here now, despite the good start for Chekio. He's low on mana and will need to find an opportunity to back. There just won't be any good ones here with Kespainify doing this well in terms of how much mana he currently has at his disposal. You check back in with the middle lane. FaraKrik being picked up. You know, I've been wondering about this. I know we're not playing Freya as much anymore since she got some of those nerfs, but a lot of mage ADC items got touched. You still like Soul here nowadays over Freya with the way things look?
I mean, Soul and Freya were always kind of different. Soul definitely does bring pressure, but not to Freya's degree, though, to be fair, no one really does. Soul is just a little bit more AoE damage, a little bit less single target. You know, it's kind of a safer selection overall, I would say. They've kind of always done different things in my mind. We've seen a decent amount of Soul these first 2 days of Phase 2, which is a bit surprising to me. She doesn't super impress me right now, but she's also not bad. She just kind of does the Soul stuff. She'll stay safe. She'll do slightly more damage than you thought she did, but you'll never be like, wow, that Soul one-shot me until mid to late game, and even then, lots of mages do that. It's really just there, I think, in this instance to be the tower push that Flashpoint needed. She's still great at killing structures when given the opportunity to just kind of sit down and turret them. And she still does that far better than Freya. Not as good as Chronos, but far better than Freya.
Gotta be feeling good, though, if you're Flashpoint. You're at least getting to play the game this time, which at this point last game, I don't know that they did. Chekio's really committed, and Johnny might be able to punish him for it. Fusify is on his way to this, too. Hard to imagine Chekio could ever make it out of this. That's first blood for Johnny on the set. As I said, looking much better here in Game 2.
Yeah, it helps when there's a Bellona all the way up duo lane. And that's you kind of get questions from newer players, like why are the lanes the way they are? Like, why do the warriors go in the shorter lane and the ADCs go in the longer one? And that's the reason why. Chekio has no chance of ever surviving in a gank situation like that.
Not many do, as LeMoGoW does get hit by the ultimate from Julio, forces him to respond with an ultimate of his own, and he is indeed able to retreat. That's good timing. Teleport's already down from LeMoGoW, so Queso were right to look for pressure. They should be able to buy themselves some time.
Johnny may try and find Julio here, though, who's completely out of mana. Just not enough of a slow on that skewer to lock him down quite yet.
FaraKrik boxing with Warchi here in the middle lane, but no, I got too excited. Not much more will happen. Fusify is nearby. Maybe he can start something here with Warchi. Does get him in the Cobra's Kiss combo, but Warchi not too worried. Looks like he knew since he was level 4. Not much actual kill potential.
Good patience there from Warchi, exactly right. Not worrying about that ultimate, so no use of those purification beads. If FaraKrik could have been a little bit closer, then he probably could have followed up with just the ult, but understanding his distance away, Warchi nice and patient.
Where are you expecting Kespainify to go with this build next? He went right into the pen boots to get things started off. And a lot of the times we see these, whoever we put in the long lane, go for really greedy stacking items. Since they're over here by themselves for so long. You expect that here too?
Could be.
Chekio yet again gets baited.
Yeah, this is going to be the story for a bit. I think it'll probably be the Dynasty Plate Helm. I guess is where I would expect Kespainify to go next.
Maybe Pythags, yeah.
Could be Pythags as well. I think either of those are likely options. We could, I suppose, see a Warlocks, but I doubt it.
Fusify does a good job getting away from Dracomarino's ultimate there, and that sets up for Johnny to get his second kill of the game. Warchi goes up, but he does have to land near an enemy as WorstTurttle is able to find 1 kill onto Fusify, but now he's in some trouble as Johnny considers the dive. Meanwhile, Warchi, who ran all the way over to the short lane, forces LeMoGoW's ultimate with a little bit of help from Julio.
At least they get something out of Warchi's ultimate, who was really just used to try and stay safe. Nicely done by Flashpoint to realize that Draco was not in a very good spot. I think Draco realized it as well. That's why he used that ultimate so early on. But he was also just trying to one-shot the Serqet, but you kind of need to hit the Serqet in order to one-shot her.
That's right, can't get the stun. Doesn't connect. Fusify makes his way out of there. So Flashpoint in better straits here in this game than they were in game number 1. Up about 1,000 gold or so. Fusify considers moving his way in for the action. And more than considers it, he's now just taking some free shots as he waits for Cobra's Kiss to come up. But he'll rejoin the squad.
Interesting that Fusify still goes with the Talaria boots. These did get nerfed in the mid-season update. We'll see a lot less of them in jungle, I believe. Both junglers went a different option in game 1. I've got a different option here in game 2 as well. Losing power was really a big deal for these boots, but they still do the movement speed better than any other boot by far. Still very good in that selection. I'm surprised the lack of Ninja Tabai. I wanted to bring it up last game for Warchi, but he's gone Warrior Tabai again. Ninja Tabai got a pretty substantial buff, and I really think that if your character auto-attacks well at all, you should probably be getting Ninja Tabai at this point. I think they're very, very strong. That up to 25% attack speed now is an awful lot.
Chekio agrees with you. He picked them up for himself and is under some duress here on the left-hand side. He is a little bit ahead of Kespainify experience-wise, and he's done a really good job forcing the hand of Flashpoint to rotate somebody over here. I know he's died for it once, but have to spend attention over here when you normally don't have to in this meta still feels pretty good for Queso, though, unfortunately.
Doesn't feel good for Fusify. Hey, Finch, is Erlang Shen good?
He's real good.
Yeah. Is it because...
And I'm brave for saying that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's because he CCs you longer than any other character in the game.
FaraKrik in trouble here in the middle lane, does drop the Supernova, but it doesn't help. Warchi cleans that kill up quite well. Is that all he does is just CC you really well? That doesn't seem that good.
He'll also deal as much damage to you as basically any assassin in the game.
Okay, so then he must at least be really immobile then and can't get away very well.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Well,
he can't heal though, right?
He sure can.
Oh, well, now Gold Fury being considered by Team Queso. They have to drop it as Kespainify jumps in. Warchi has to go up to the sky in the back, but it's WorstTurttle who needs a little bit of backup. Gets out of there with the turtle form, and Fusify dies to the right. Johnny, though, still wants blood. He finds a Warchi, looking for the second. It's Chekio, a double kill for Set, and still hunting for blood. He goes to the red buff to strip that too.
Yeah, we'll take one of those. Thank you very much. Set is just too cool, man. I love watching this character fight and just seeing all these clones start spawning as he's kingslayering you down. The coolest part is when you see the lines appear for the skewer that he fires, and then they all rush in. It's a great moment of tense, just kind of team fight moment. But now Johnny doesn't have to feel tense at all because he's 4-0. And take a look at the net worth. He's up 1,000 gold on WorstTurttle so far.
Having a good game. Oh, I didn't mention WorstTurtle on Erlang Shen has aced, by the way.
Yeah.
How did we not say that?
Only character in the game that has that in the kit. And that, for the record, is the part that always gets me, is like, man, I almost got away, and then he just ran at me and did a lot of extra damage, and then had haste, and I'm dead, no matter what I do.
The only thing Kespainify could have done differently there is, I suppose, not be there.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have feeds. He's dead no matter what he does. No matter what he does from there. He could have been further down the lane. It still wouldn't have mattered. A full health Erlang Shen, and you don't have your abilities up, you're dead. So you just kind of have to accept that. A bad use of beads for sure for Kespainify in a matchup where he really can get punished pretty easily.
If he doesn't have them, and he certainly won't these next few fights. Chang'e looks to steal purple. Fusify does his best to defend, but it might be ill-advised. But WorstTurttle way off the mark with the turtle knockup. Fusify used his last breath. He must have had any movement available. Now he gets out of there with the ambush Deathbane. Somehow, Fusify lived.
Yeah, that's a tough one. WorstTurttle probably, I mean, I guess that's the hard part of Erlang Shen, right? The skill shots.
Yep.
You know, the big cone, the giant circle.
The big, like, hitbox in the turtle form for the knockup.
Yeah.
Chang'e has to use the ultimate to get away, and I mean it when I say has to. Set has just that kind of kill potential, but now maybe it's turnaround potential, but Kespainify has his own ultimate. Recall Demons is going to put out some work that lets them turn around onto Chang'e, and they're still plenty healthy for another. Johnny gets a double kill onto Warchi. The knockup comes through from FaraKrik as well, and now WorstTurtle is in a spot of bother. Fusify gets that kill, 3 members down, and Flashpoint looking much better here in this game.
Drago's in trouble. I don't think Johnny can afford to tank that tower long enough to kill him, but this Gold Fury is certainly going to go down. Julio has really not left the solo lane at all so far this game, and has watched his team go from in a really good spot to now in a pretty bad spot. The good news for Team Queso is whoever gets the kill onto Johnny from this position will now be the win condition, because he is worth a ton of gold. 6 of Flashpoint 7 kills, way up top in net worth and in player damage for what it's worth.
And look, and so this is the thing, Johnny is building the same way he built last game, right? But because they're able to get off to a nice start, you don't feel that lack of pin the same way.
Sure.
And to be fair, he's not going into quite as tanky targets. He hasn't really been focusing Dracomarino, so I don't think it's mattered. But if it had come up, the lead would certainly have helped out.
Yes, without a doubt. And the fact that Kespainify is dealing much more damage to start off these engagements.
Right.
He doesn't have to 100 to 0 these you know, Bellona ADCs. He's really just doing 50% of their health or so. I mean, in that point, Chang'e was under 50% when he started engaging. And nothing feels worse than a warrior from behind. You just feel like you can't do a whole lot of anything. And that's where this Bellona ADC strat can really come back to bite you, in that it's hard to continually get your farm because you're in this longer lane. And there's going to be more people over there because now the coup is basically not worth your time as a jungler. You're just kind of sitting around waiting for Gold Fury to spawn and buffs to be up. There's more buffs on the left-hand side. It's more you're more kind of tantalized to be over there in the beginning. And you've got this Bellona ADC who, at this point, is a nearly free kill.
Not going to be a whole lot of help down 0-3, and Kespainify's done a good job keeping the wave near his tower, kind of forcing Chang'e to push up, and the Flash would have been right there on their rotations to make it work. Julio, though, is kind of a storyline over here on the solo side. We haven't seen him much yet to try and help out in these fights. Chang'e's good, but I don't know how much impact she can have to make up for a fed set in these engagements.
No, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot. I mean, the biggest thing is that she might be anti-healing Johnny when he's in that Kingslayer ultimate, because the 3 Julio's own heal ends up anti-healing.
Fusify goes to the backline. They want WorstTurttle, and they want him quickly. And Kespainify gets the job done. The Erlang Shen removed. Chang'e, the next one, in trouble. That's not the way you want to be using Eagle's Rally, but he didn't have much choice. Repositioned underneath the tier 2. But it's yet another red buff invade for Flashpoint, and they can take the fight here too. Warchi is moving so slowly, has no way out. He hides inside the wall, but they can continue to dive right underneath the tier 2. Julio in trouble. That's how he joins the fight, is by taking an early spill. He's not alone, though. Dracomarino falls as well. Next up is a Warchi as Johnny finds himself a double. And this is just a full-on DSI. Chang'e has nowhere to go. Triple kill for Johnny. And this one might already be done, Ryan.
Yeah, it's looking rough, that's for sure. I mean, just a weird fight there by Queso, and maybe they would say that they weren't trying to fight, but their positioning told me otherwise. I mean, they kind of backpedal out of the red buff area. As soon as WorstTurtle's dead, just give up the red buff. I was kind of ranting about this yesterday as well. These teams just they're so unwilling to just give things up that they really need to. I mean, that red buff is worth not that much in the grand scheme of things at this point in the game. You walk in, you half-heartedly try and defend, and then you end up losing your entire squad. And really, I think Flashpoint should count themselves, or Queso rather, should count themselves lucky that Flashpoint didn't just do Fire Giant. I'm very surprised that wasn't the option. They just did Pyro instead.
Fortunately for Queso, as I said, they don't have to worry about fighting up against that buff now, but they do have to worry about fighting against a 9k gold lead in favor of Flashpoint. That's difficult to do at any point in the game, especially 16.5 minutes in. 11,000 experience is not so bad either, as LeMoGoW on the Osiris this time instead of the Jormungandr appears to be having a better time of it in this soft matchup up against the Chang'e.
This is a matchup that's happened quite a bit in SMITE's history. Chang'e has always been a popular god for solo laners, and Osiris really the same. Two different playstyles for sure, but solo laners are kind of weird like that. They've always got these kind of two playstyles. Chang'e seems to always fit one. You think that it should be heavily in Osiris' favor because of the ultimate, but without the ultimate, sometimes you can get out-traded. LeMoGoW has not really run into that problem too much so far.
Been okay for the most part as Fusify drops the ultimate onto Julio, but does get hit by the Cataclysm. That's 2-man, so WorstTurttle is able to find Fusify. Team Queso now considering the disengage as Johnny has shown up, and he will gobble Julio up if they allow him. LeMoGoW adds some extra damage, and that's enough for Julio to go down. It's 1-for-1, and now Team Queso have got to flee, get any way towards the tier 2 tower that they can, but the knockups from FaraKrik cut the fight in half. Warchi tethered, Warchi gone. That's 2-1 in favor of Flashpoint.
And with this health build that Johnny's gone for, I didn't love it early on last game, but when you're ahead like this and you can just leverage your base damage, and you saw he didn't have any trouble killing Warchi now that he has Stone Cutting Sword, and the fact that he's 5 levels up, by the way, that health just makes him near unkillable.
Tier 2 tower drops, Chekio drops as well, nearly had FaraKrik low enough for a kill, but it wasn't enough. WorstTurttle, I don't even know if he's going to make it to the heal. He does live just long enough for it, but still can't turn the fight around. Johnny gets another. Would you take a 10-0-4 set there, Aggro? Do you think
Yes.
you want that in your team?
I sure do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I sure do. He's a character that pushes leads really, really well. It's because he's kind of dual-faceted, right? He does a lot of auto-attack damage. His passive is all about auto-attack speed. He's got his ultimate, which is all about auto-attacking and chasing you down. But he's also got this insane ability damage from Skewer. And so when you're getting attacked on both fronts like that, you know, Midgardian Mail doesn't get him off of you and kind of ruin his kill potential like it might someone like a Bakasura or a Kali or an Arachne. He's got this great long-range ability damage and can really leverage that as the game goes on.
Primal Fury now being grabbed by Flashpoint. Can't think of a reason why they shouldn't do this, unless they just want the FG. I mean, they could probably bully their way into that right now, but taking things slow, the Primal will certainly make that task easier for them as they enjoy a 13,000 gold lead 19 minutes in. This is certainly the point in the game where you can go for whatever you want. But look at WorstTurttle here. He has gone into the kin size in response to all this health you mentioned that's being built.
Sure.
Maybe that does help them some if they weren't down 4 levels in that direct matchup.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 3 items completed in a tier 1, whereas Johnny has 5 items. I mean, chin size is going to help, no doubt, but he needs more than just that.
Fusify wants WorstTurttle on the right-hand side. They force the 9 turns Blessing to use defensively. He'll still get the heal, but that big taunt won't be available. And Flashpoint just want to run it down. This isn't about objectives. This is about finding some more kills. WorstTurtle pulled right back into the supernova from FaraKrik. Waxing Moon, though, does hit 3. And that's about the best you can hope for from Chang'e. It just still does not deter Flashpoint. Warchi isolated and Johnny immortal.
Julio just used his immunity, and he's going to pay for it, no doubt about that. Johnny gets himself the double kill, a blood shield on top, which means he gets to keep on going.
Chekio now into trouble too, a triple kill for Johnny. Yet again, 13 kills for him and a godlike performance from Johnny on this set. This is why he likes it, man. This is that hyper-carry potential that he likes without Kwang and all these other types of assassins. I really, truly do think it doesn't quite matter what you give him. As long as it has this hyper-carry potential, Johnny's gonna have games like this all the time.
Beast, man. This dude's just an animal. If you're not a believer in the Johnny Carey project, then I don't know. 'Cause my man pops like this on the regular, basically.
Oh, yeah. You know, just like on Tuesdays, just when I feel like it, think I might
That's right.
pop.
Well, wait, but Finch, isn't that when they play their games?
Whoa, what a coincidence.
That's so weird. How lucky.
Yeah, glad it works out like that, really. That could have been rough. Imagine if he popped off on a Thursday. What help would that be?
Yeah, it's like, oh, great night of scrims, Johnny. How about you do this in an actual game?
Well, Flashpoint Stills, I'm surprised, haven't made a play yet on the FG at this point. Any reason why? Just playing it a bit safe here for it, or what do you see?
I mean, Queso kind of keeps letting them fight. And so if they're going to keep letting you get all these towers and fights off in your favor, then sure. It is overdue. There's no doubt about that, because it's time to get Phoenixes and really just time to end the game. You are so far ahead at this point that you can just walk in and end if things go the way.
Paying a good deal of respect to the split push over here in duo, Fusify, and the teleport from LeMoGoW that forces Warchi into his ultimate. Back does get off from WorstTurttle, so he makes his way back to the fountain. But no one is here to help Warchi, who has been isolated by Kespainify and is every kind of dead I can think of.
Well, that's all of them, that's for sure. Johnny's in a bit of an awkward spot, though. No beads for him and half HP, but he teleports right out of that time.
And this is exactly the kind of fight that they want to take. Fusify goes in first. Kespainify is there to follow, and he still can recall demons. Julio falls as well. Remember, they already lost Warchi earlier. That just leaves Draco and Chang'e, the dual lane of old, to try and hold on and keep this game alive. But they might not even have Draco. Look how fast Johnny is. He chases him a football field's length down this short lane and catches up to him. Right side Phoenix down, and Agni, I mean, that's just the game.
There's no chance for Queso to come back at this point. We're going to a game 3, and I imagine that Queso will be a little bit more prepared for the set this time around.
Prepared for the set, and then also for the set
No,
that
the
Johnny's
set.
playing.
Just
oh,
the
no.
set.
Oh, the set.
Not the set, but the set.
The set, right. Okay,
Right.
That's my bad. I wouldn't want that to be confusing anyone out there. We're saying that they are prepared for the set.
Correct.
Yeah. And of course, I expect that they always will be. A nice, strong win there for Flashpoint to take us all the way to a third game here, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I expected to see some quality SMITE here between these two teams. The SML in both regions has been pretty competitive, but especially in Europe.
And look, I know I just spent the last post-game talking about how I prefer Set not in the jungle. That doesn't mean he can't succeed, and especially in a capable player like Johnny's hands, he's going to be able to do great things. But this time around, it wasn't just that Johnny played better. It's that Kespainify had a much better matchup.
Yes.
What a coincidence. Not playing an ADC in that lane. I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but the Zhong worked really, really well. Chekio's Bellona did not. I want to see Chekio maybe not play an ADC if he doesn't want to, but something that can either pressure more effectively. I mean, Bellona clears the wave really well, but doesn't have great kill potential like that, or something that can stay a little bit safer.
Yes, especially if John can spend as much time over there as he did in game number 2. So we'll have the decider match, game number 3 here in just a few minutes.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the SMITE Minor League.
Hello and welcome back, folks. Tom and Tully here, bringing you, well, usually I say bringing you the business or the dynamite or some explosive superlative there, but Johnny did it for us in game number 2 and also kind of told Aggro to sit down. Me and Aggro sat here and were like, you know, so that's kind of good. Maybe play him in a different position, didn't really do the thing in the jungle. And then Johnny comes through and 13 plus kills without a death.
Yep.
My bad, Johnny.
14,
My bad.
14-0-8 to be exact, honestly, after that game. A lot of it also came down to the early game presence, not only from Johnny, but also his support player, Fusify, playing the Serqet, being really annoying and harassing. Chekio was too aggressive to a fault. His opening was good. It was a proxy between the Tier 2 and the Phoenix, grabbing the whole wave, stripping away the purple buff after the fact, but afterwards, he was just hugging the tower line forever, so it encouraged Johnny to consistently gank that lane.
Over and over again. You saw it, like you said, in the lane, and the team fights in here towards the end. This is where he picks up the double kill, gets himself the godlike, and then goes ahead and gets himself the game. Fantastic stuff. It's what you expect out of Johnny to do. The hard carry in the jungle when the back's against the wall. Elimination game. There it is. So, Johnny forces game 3. Picks and bans.
Well, Ao Kwang used to be one of his go-to bans. Maybe now you gotta encourage some more set bans.
That's been Johnny. I think that's been Johnny for the deeper readers in general. Johnny is the Ao Kwang main, but you know, intelligent people like you and I and the people. Well, I pretend to be intelligent, but the people that watch a lot of Smite are the ones that are sitting there going, "Yeah, you got to ban out the Ao Kwang." Also, Baka and Kali and Mercury, and now here's Set. What do you? We gave you another ban to deal with Johnny, but also gave Johnny another character. So,
the world is his oyster now at this point, honestly. He's just opening it up and reaping in all the benefits. So, on top of that, yeah, I'm just going to target out Johnny.
yeah, I mean, Nike still banned out. Do you think that's a result of just sheer power level or players learning to adapt against her?
I think it's the power level, honestly. Even though like the passive got nerfed a little bit, it's more about that shield reflection, being able to really disrupt the flow of these late hyper game carry hunters, right? And also the ability to push back melee units that are touching the shield is a big issue, especially if you can find a good way to do some finesse plays with the Blink 180s and throw them under the tower.
We were talking a lot about how players are walking away from traditional ranged carries and sitting on some of the mages, some of the assassins, some weird stuff in that long lane. I think if that's your route that you're going, you can kind of let the other team play some Nike, but with the Chronos first selection, this is you want to make use of your range down. So the Nike not willing to be played here. Flashpoint. Muzen, Cobb, Erlang, Shen, and Team Queso round out their first half picks. Chronos, Geb, and Serqet.
They were very aggressive in that first game with their draft, and so far they've been able to mix a little bit of defense on top of this with the Geb. Last time it was the Serqet support. This time we'll see how the Geb fares, but that was actually for Flashpoint in that first game, so they need to kind of relive that Game 2 success with the aggressive supports. Now, they're not going to have the Serqet this time around in Game number 3, but they have other junglers for that assassin support position, such as the Najah that has yet to be picked or banned.
Osiris, a selection here for Flashpoint as we make our way into ban phase number 2. This one the same as it always has been. No changes here. 2 bans per team. The first one is Chernobog by Flashpoint, and they're going to pair that up with another one, likely another aggressive character, and it will be the Jormungandr. Team Queso, though, on the other hand, banning up the Soul, and then one more. It's going to be the Poseidon, so some magical damage taken away by Team Queso. Flashpoint here, AMC, Erlang, Shen, and the Osiris. What are you looking for?
For Flashpoint, honestly, more aggression, more frontline kind of presence. Kumakarna wouldn't be a bad idea, but when you have an aggressive frontline, there's a lot of freedom to do whatever you want in the backline, so it almost doesn't matter what your mid-pick honestly is for Flashpoint. I think that at the end of the day, FaraKrik should have an easy time in this lane, especially with the Agni that could dash away on his own right.
FaraKrik's Agni is a wonder to watch by itself. It's going to set up the Erlang Shen as if Erlang Shen needs to be set up, but anytime you can provide Johnny with some extra wings, he's just going to fly even higher. Anhur and Tyr. You know, I like to see me some Tyr. Tyr likely to be in the short lane, excuse me, and he'll be going head-to-head against that Osiris, most likely, and Batz in the jungle there. So not an Erlang Shen for Johnny.
No, not this time around, although who knows, honestly, the way this set has been played so far entirely.
No, set was games 1 and 2.
Yeah. You're right.
Now
banned in game number 3.
Yeah, banned out. Now it's on Batz. We'll see how this non-set set goes.
Thanks for clearing everything up about that set there, Tom. I appreciate you. Into game number 3, Finch and Aggro one more time, as both of the games in this set so far have been kind of stomps one way or the other. And it's really centered around these two junglers for me, Aggro. WorstTurttle on the Erlang Shen game 1, Johnny on the set in game 2. This time it's the Hunbots and the Serqet battling to see who comes out on top.
I really like that Queso go with the Serqet and her traditional counter pick, which is the Geb, which really shuts down a lot of what she wants to do, keeps it out of Fusify's hands, and gives Dracomarino one of his better selections. I think that's very, very smart by this squad. I just wonder what happened, what year I woke up in to see a mage and an ADC on both teams.
It is a bit different. I mean, both these comps feel a bit old school, don't they? With what Erlang Shen being the newest guy here, as Fusify is in trouble already and pinned up against the wall, but still gets the turtle form off. He's out of there. That's probably, well, I guess if he's solo, it is what you want to start with, but he's not. But still, how does he make that out of there?
Easy for Erlang Shen, dude. Through Erlang Shen, anything is possible. That's basically what I'm saying. Meerkat won a game against the best team in the SPL by playing it in the mid lane with double chalice.
Yeah, but to give the Erlang any credit seems fun. I mean, that's Meerkat, right? Can we just be honest?
No. It's Meerkat, sure. It's Meerkat on Erlang Shen.
Yeah, the Erlang certainly doesn't hurt there as Chikyo makes his way back over to the tier 2 tower and duo, having to try and shield himself from that pressure. Fusify, undeterred even now, but
smart.
does get caught with the Cobra's Kiss. I mean, that's how that's going to go every time. A nice clean kill there from WorstTurttle.
Think if you actually would have turned in turtle form the other way instead of trying to knock up WorstTurttle. I don't think the WorstTurtle could have been in range to him and one him. He would have had to use the Deathbane in order to get in range, but I guess 2 auto attacks would have killed him, so yeah, he's dead no matter what he does there.
Yeah, I think so too. Fusify
That was his best out.
didn't have much chance to survive there. Tried his best, played to his outs, he said, ended up falling. He's still level 1, but his goal right now is to try and slow down WorstTurtle to the best of his ability. So I think likely he's okay with being a bit behind. Certainly not ideal, but this is the plan, is to try and slow down the enemy jungler.
But it hasn't worked. I'm a little surprised that Flashpoint is continuing to go with this strategy because they tried it last game and it didn't really work for them there, and it certainly has not worked for them here either. This nuisance strategy, the fruit fly strategy, it just hasn't worked for them.
Man, I had a tick when you said it. Fruit flies are just truly the most annoying thing to think of. And trying to live up to that right now is Fusify as he moves towards the blue buff. Not going to deter Julio, though, who grabs it on one of his signature picks, the tier, for Julio in the solo lane.
You know what makes me feel better when I'm getting annoyed by a fruit fly?
Nothing.
No, it's knowing that that fruit fly is going to be dead by the end of the day.
Yeah, but he's living his best life, literally, by annoying.
Yeah, but it's so short. Like, I'm gonna have days in the future where I'm not annoyed by this fruit fly. He's not gonna have any days in the future.
I like the 1 out of 100 times I Mr. Miyagi it out of the air.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always go for it.
Oh, 100%. You have to.
And then you turn it around, you're like, got him, too. It feels good.
Sometimes you have to give them a little anime speech and let them know you've done this before, you know? I've killed dozens of your kind for doing the exact same thing you're doing to me right now.
Sometimes I put glasses on just so the lenses can get,
right.
crossed
and
over.
then you push it up.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect.
That's about the coolest thing to do, obviously.
One hand, the other hand in your pocket, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
right.
good.
We do have, as you mentioned, though, hunters, quote-unquote, over here in the long lane this time. Kespainify, of course, on a regular hunter, and then Chekyo on one of our mage ADCs in the Chronos. So things should be a bit more honest in that matchup, though Johnny might have an opportunity here up against Warchi, but holds on to the ultimate, and Warchi holds on to the lead.
I think that's the right idea. I mean, you don't know where Dracomarino is necessarily. If he's in range to shield Warchi, then that feels really bad. He wasn't, but without that knowledge, it's the right idea to hold on to that. Plus, if Warchi just uses his own ultimate instead of the purification beads, it's actually a bit of a loss because that 75-second cooldown on Desert Fury is going to be up very, very quickly. And I really like Warchi on this Anhur. It seems like the right idea to me. He used to be a hunter player, of course, so you know he's comfortable with this style of play. And Anhur is just a strong pick in the mid lane right now. Dardez has truly opened all of our eyes to that. And I think that this is a style that Warchi could excel at.
If you make it to the late game with this comp, you've got these 2 strong basic attack-focused characters and a Geb to control for them, to keep them alive with knockups and shields and Cataclysm to be some strong setup. Then Team Queso, I think, are going to be feeling really strong about where they are. Now, the thing you have to worry about is that Osiris feels pretty good into hunters. Oftentimes, he can sit back on these immobile ones a little bit and try and punish them. It'll be a question of if these hunters can get away from him in the late game, and they should feel pretty good.
Yeah, but Queso has drafted so much CC. Again, Queso really seems to like these heavy CC compositions, and I've always been a fan of them. I think that, CC and SMITE is really, really potent, and you can get damage from just about anywhere. So draft the CC. That's always been my kind of philosophy, and I think that Queso is really identified with that as well.
Draco blinks in for Cataclysm, response is Fear No Evil, and now all of a sudden the Geb's been isolated. The Impale's off the mark, but Draco still stands for now, but the bombs over the top are too much, and Fusify finds himself a kill. WorstTurttle responds though in kind. It's 1 for 1 in the middle lane.
Nicely done overall by Flashpoint. They still lose someone, but it's the right idea to try and get it going in their favor. That was a good turnaround. Queso just a little bit overestimating their damage, and I think it's because Draco doesn't have boots yet. He's got no innate power from his items where he normally would in that slot. They're able to execute there onto Fusify if things go properly, but because Draco has again gone for this Gauntlet of Thieves Rush, he has no power at all. Even the, if he wants to go reinforce 20 power, it may have made the difference there.
Been enough, but it was lacking in that last fight. So still a slight lead for Team Queso in terms of kills. The goal difference between the two teams is negligible at this point. It is essentially tied between them, and this is a bit different from how our early games have gone for the most part. We've seen a ton of action, and these leads start to materialize pretty quickly for these two teams, so that we're still at parity in game number 3 is a bit of a different change of pace for both these squads.
No huge leads, no junglers who have already gotten 3 kills or anything like that, though, to be fair, WorstTurttle already has 2 kills, but is not miles ahead in net worth. 600 at 7 minutes is a lot, for sure, but First Blood will do that for you, so you're not so far ahead that Johnny can't compete.
As you mentioned last game, though, the Talaria boots might be a bit of a thing of the past. Like all these warrior tabi that have been picked up as Fusify gets caught in the middle lane, does get the 9 turns blessing off, makes it into turtle form, but will never see the heal. WorstTurttle shuts that down before he gets the chance.
Wouldn't have gotten the heal either way because of Last Breath. 100% anti-heal means that's not going to work. It's been a pretty consistent counter pick against Erlang Shen so far. A rough set for Fusify, I would say. Even in the game they won, I felt like he was having some early game struggles still, and certainly game 1 was full of struggles for him. So not his best day at the office so far, but didn't stop Flashpoint from finding the win in game 2, and might not stop them from finding this victory overall.
Stinger off the mark. WorstTurttle able to keep past Kespainify, but it still works out either way. Off good beads uses Kespainify. Johnny rotates in, and Fear No Evil sets up a nice, much-needed kill on the WorstTurtle, who had just gotten to 3 kills.
I was gonna say that that WorstTurtle wasting beads on the kill in the mid lane on Fusify is really what set that up, but I don't even know if he had beads if he would have survived from that position. He just used everything to try and get on top of Kespainify, and Johnny was just the right place at the right time.
Yeah, but it ends up working out quite well for them as Warchi would love if this fight continued, but FaraKrik was no part of it. He'll dash away. Had Fusify rotating in anyway, so I'm a little bit surprised he didn't bait a bit more there. Maybe try and set up for something.
Problem is, he's in kill range for Desert's Fury. That, half health, by the way, that's kill range for Desert's Fury. So if he didn't have his dash up and got caught in the shifting sands, that may have been it.
Draco does manage to stun Fusify. Desert Fury comes through, but Fusify makes it into the turtle form in time to avoid getting caught in the CC chain by WorstTurtle. And there you go, fight's done. Everyone as you were.
Two ultimates down as well for the Queso boys. The right idea, we've proven that we can kill Fusify with that level of investment, but it needs Last Breath on top of that, and WorstTurtle was just a little bit too far. Either that's Draco jumping the gun on his own call that, hey, we can kill him here, or that's Draco jumping the gun on WorstTurtle's call that, hey, we can jump in and kill this guy, or Warchi. One of those 3 is making that call, and Draco was just early no matter who called it.
Old Fury now being considered by Flashpoint. They've got it pulled. Their team perhaps a bit scrappier would like if they could try and fight around this, but they don't even need to. It's been stolen away. Team Queso either none the wiser or just couldn't get there in time. Either way, Flashpoint find themselves the first objective of the game.
Very smart pull there by Flashpoint. They knew that Warchi was weak and probably had to back to base. Chekio had gotten out pushed and was sitting underneath his tower, and Dracomarino didn't have Blink ult, so what are we scared of? I mean, this is a bootsless Geb. He's not going to get in there too quickly without Blink, so we've got great opportunity, and that was a really intelligent pull from Flashpoint.
So far, though, this has been yet another back-and-forth game. Remember in Game 1, though, Flashpoint had Queso had a ton of early kills, but they couldn't quite convert that to an actual lead for a while. It was the team that started playing around the objectives first that was able to turn that game around. It did just happen to be Queso. This time, though, it's Flashpoint playing around the objective with a nice gold fury call. WorstTurttle, though, pinned up against the wall underneath the Tier 1, and Johnny cleans up the kill with some help from FaraKrik. That was all that it took.
Beautifully done there by Johnny, making more plays. I mean, he doesn't have to be on these crazy hyper carries all the time, I guess, can make it work even on a god like Batz, which is usually thought of as a little bit more setup oriented.
Yeah, it feels a bit more twiggy, right, or something like that to play something like this Batz, but Johnny able to show he can do that just as well. And he's had his team backing him up this time, too. FaraKrik has been right there with him whenever they needed, and that's what's allowed for, I think, the Batz to work very well as Fusify looks to the dive and isn't going to find very much there.
Just tries to get the tower, but a little bit too little damage, and Draco now with boots has enough extra power to help clear, plus levels just really helps.
Are you surprised that it's mostly Pride when we're seeing from the Arthurian Pantheon? We'll talk about it later as Dracomarino gets two-man stun that catches FaraKrik's dash. That's enough for the Agni to go down. A much-needed kill here for Team Queso in the middle lane. Fusify now also a bit isolated from everyone else, but they don't have any more CC. He's just walking away.
Not yet, but it'll come eventually, and there it is. Warchi's able to get himself the kill. That was a weird dash in by FaraKrik. I think he was trying to whip the camera around and dash away, but may have just pressed 3 a little bit too early and ended up sealing his own fate in that moment. You were asking about the Arthurian items.
Well, let's talk about this sick ultimate being found by Johnny here instead. Who wants to hear what Aggro has to say? I'm lying, I really do.
Did they just place that ward? I mean, they had to have seen him, right?
He doesn't have ult.
Or I think WorstTurttle was placing the ward as he got hit by the ultimate. That's the only thing that makes sense. Anyways, yeah, the Arthurian items. Yeah, we've really only seen Pride win. It's the best one. I don't think it's that close. I think we may see some Fail Not still.
Me too.
It's just good stats more than anything else. The passive is relevant sometimes, but not all the time. But you can really build it in a crit build just for stats alone.
I think you're right to mention that Fail Not's another one that we'll see some more of. I would love to see some Staff of Mirrodin. I feel like it's tough to get it into your builds for it to make sense. It's best on Guardians, it feels like, but you don't want a pure damage item on them, so it can be tough, I feel like, to find its spot.
Yeah, it's very, very good on a small subset of mages as well. You've got, I think it's great on Isis, obviously great on Janus. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
That it's coming to me off the top of my head. Hebo, sure.
Sure.
But outside of those few, I'm probably missing some, but there are just a lot that don't really impress me too much with it. And as you mentioned, it's expensive. It's only power and CDR. Those two stats, I think, are vastly overrated a lot of the time. If it doesn't have pen on it, then I'm probably not going to build it every game.
They're in a lot of spots. You can make up your power CDR
elsewhere.
Yes,
for much cheaper.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I do think we could see it. It'll likely be a later game item. I think the only one that can really leverage it early is Janus. But even then, you're really delaying your power spike for sure.
And for the most part, these sets have been, even if they've been close, like 3-game sets, the matches have been kind of blowouts. So that might not lend itself to building Staff of Mirrodin or even Fail Not, depending on where it is that these guys like to fit into their builds. Whereas Pride Win feels pretty good, even if you don't already have protections. It's obviously better when you do, but third item, like we're seeing it being built here by both these solo laners, I think it's certainly fine. I do want to point out Johnny did use his blink earlier while we were talking as well, so it'll be a little bit before he has that back available.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Pride Win is that, yes, it's better when you have prots, but you will keep getting prots throughout the game.
Yes, though they certainly will end up coming in, and it doesn't feel bad in the short term, I think, to have the 45 or the 40 protections and the shield. Yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt. Johnny, though, wants Fear No Evil into Warchi, but he gets caught by WorstTurttle, keeping Warchi alive there, truly doing the Lord's work. Flashpoint will instead consider a play here in the middle lane, but it's Julio who blinks in and catches out FaraKrik. Chang'e wants to keep things going over the wall with the Lawbringer, and Julio has the beast in his sights, but just can't get close enough. There it is, and FaraKrik falls.
Yeah, but Julio's in a weird spot. I mean, just Chang'e and Draco here to help him, but it looks like that's actually enough. I'm a little surprised that Flashpoint isn't willing to do a little bit more from that position. They know Warchi had to back, they know WorstTurttle has no ultimate. They decide not to.
Once they end up dropping FaraKrik, they felt like falling back, but Flashpoint don't want to give up this Primal Fury here for free. They don't have a ton of ultimates to work with, but they do still have plenty of damage. Kespainify is able to take down Warchi. LeMoGoW's low. He's got to reposition, but Fusify, even without much mana or health, is moving forward. He gets caught.
Now WorstTurtle's going to find Johnny as well. Fusify cleaned up by Julio. LeMoGoW caught lazy backing, and WorstTurtle might be able to make him pay, but Kespainify certainly will not.
Yeah, off the mark there with the Stinger. They really needed that one. He's forced to use the Aegis and might still die. Lawbringer back up again, because of course it is. Julio can't quite find Kespainify though, so he does not get punished.
Man, that really should have been a kill, even without Julio having to use the ultimate. Just a little bit too impatient on the power cleave that didn't outweight the Aegis well enough.
Lord of the Afterlife does slow down Julio for a moment. The tether should be able to find a stun, but Draco responds with a Cataclysm, and Julio gets a heal that forces FaraKrik to dash in aggressively, but Julio does eventually still die to the passive there from the Agni, and now it's LeMoGoW who's stuck too far forward without any mana.
I mean, Aegis for FaraKrik might be enough to save his life, and it will,
sloppy,
but just barely. But yeah, again, a lot of fighting, kind of for the sake of fighting, I imagine. I mean, Queso pulls gold. I guess they wanted to keep the fight going.
That was like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I was just trying to remember if that was even this game, to be honest, because we're in game 3 already.
Sure, you're right. Yeah, they started with the Primal.
They start the Fury, Flashpoint. I mean, that fight was all over the place. I don't know. There's a lot going on, and again, these teams kind of fell into the same trap in game 1, I think, where they're a little bit too kill hungry and not focusing on the greater prize, which is those objectives.
Yeah, I think the difference is that neither one of these teams are that much better than the other at those scrappy fights. We saw the team with the set really thrive with them in game number 2. The Erlang Shen was ahead, thriving them in game 1. This time, though, these two more set-up-y junglers are both kind of like, hey, I mean, we can both do the fights equally well, so that's why I think they end up looking a little bit sloppier than what we've seen earlier on. No one has a true claim to them, it feels like.
Exactly, and I get the idea from Flashpoint. You don't want to let this draft from Queso keep farming, because I do think their late game is fairly significantly stronger.
Pretty scary.
So you want to keep them down while you can.
Well, Primal has been looked at again. It's Queso that starts it. WorstTurtle has Kespainify on the menu, throws him right back into every spear from Desert Fury, and Draco gets the kill credit. Fusify caught by Julio into the impale. Perfect from Queso. That's the cleanliness we were asking for last fight. All of a sudden, they're up 2-0 and ready to repull Primal.
And again, it's all centered around this CC that Queso has. They've got so much of it. I touched on it earlier on, that if you don't have relics in those extended fights, means that you're going to use your relics sometimes late. You end up being really, really susceptible.
Julio catches Johnny. I bet it also helps if you can find 2 kills without ever having to worry about Fear No Evil, which is what Queso have done this fight. FaraKrik falls for 3. They also get the Primal Fury. 3 for 0, and they force Johnny and LeMoGoW out. It's all Queso.
Kespainify getting caught there, you just have to be more aware of where the enemy jungler could be, especially when your relics are down. I mean, he has to know that if WorstTurtle finds him, he's dead, and you have to position accordingly for that. It just didn't feel like that he did. I mean, that's a fairly common spot for ADC to sit when you have relics up and a team that can help you. Flashpoint doesn't have the amount of CC to help you from that amount of damage. And even if they did have the CC Finch, I mean, what are you CCing? The CC immune Serqet on top of your head, or the CC immune on her that's pounding you with pillars?
Julio in some trouble of being tethered. Fusify's nearby, but he makes his way out of there. And this has just not been Fusify's set. I think we all know he's much stronger than what we've seen from here today, but for whatever reason has not been there. How do you feel about this Spirit Robe second and then delaying the Gauntlet of Thieves so long?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. Again, when a team has so much CC, Spirit Robe is the best item in the game.
Yeah.
Up against CC, because it's everything you want. It's protections, it's crowd control reduction, which I think is a really important important part of it. And it's a low internal cooldown, phenomenal passive that you're going to be using a lot. It's only 15 seconds, and you get 15% mitigation for 3 seconds. That's a long, long time. So you really don't have that much downtime. It's 12 seconds of downtime with that passive because you got the 3 seconds of the passive itself last. So it's a really good item. I think I would still prefer to see the Gauntlet first, then the Spirit Robe, but I think he was really missing the Spirit Robe in game 1. At least the fact that he has it in this game is better.
And this gives him a bit of a stopgap, right? He probably worried he couldn't afford to be behind while Gauntlet stacked. So even though now he's kind of paying that debt back, he does still have that Spirit Robe to sort of bridge the gap for him. So I think I do kind of like the path Fusify is taking in terms of the build. It just hasn't been working for him. And a lot of the times when your team plays really, really aggressive, really scrappy, the one that pays for it when it doesn't work is the one in that support role.
Exactly right. They're the ones who end up getting focused out very easily and have to go up against level, I don't know, 19 Chronoses.
Julio, though, aggressive in the backline yet again. He starts the fight. Dracomarino is the one stuck underneath the tier 2, but with that shield, he can take it. They now turn their attention to Fusify, who they end up pulling back towards the tier 1. But so far, it's much ado about nothing. Team Queso haven't been able to find a kill. In fact, Warchi a bit isolated. Lord of the Afterlife is there to lock him down with help from FaraKrik, but Julio had Fusify all to himself and gets a much-needed kill.
Good peel for Warchi there. For himself, number 1, solid relic usage by him, a good turnaround impale, and Draco's right alongside him the whole time. But again, Queso end up fighting, getting a kill onto Fusify, and not a whole lot else happens.
It's only about 3k gold that they're out in front. And that's because Flashpoint a good start to this game. Remember, they did sneak away that Gold Fury off of some good pressure they had that forced out Queso, and they knew they had a window. So that's part of it too. Queso needs to not only be a little bit more objective focused themselves, but they are fighting into Flashpoint, getting essentially a free win earlier on.
They're still in a good spot though, Queso. I mean, it's not a moment of concern for them for sure. They're still in a position where they can really keep on making plays and be in a healthy spot, but despite their late game being better, every single one of these engagements that goes on, they're long, they're sloppy, there's a lot of missed abilities, there's overlapped CC, there's bad target selection. It only takes one fight like that, even with the better late game comp, to lose the game. And so that's what makes me a little bit nervous.
Gotta make sure they're closing it out now while they can. Taking a look at Julio's build, he's got the Contagion picked up. One of our newer items gives you the physical defense and the anti-heal that you want, all in one convenient package. It's like Pestilence, but for the other one.
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah. It doesn't stack with Pestilence, so don't yell at each other to buy both. But it is pretty solid. It's just good physical protection for its cost, 100 health, 250 mana, a little bit of MP5 as well. Tier certainly doesn't hate any of that. He doesn't need more CDR with a Breastplate of Valor in that slot because he's already at 30%.
And then he goes into Witchblade, so clearly trying to make sure that Fusify, Kespainify can't do much work to him in these engagements, and it feels really strong for exactly what he's been doing, which is diving them both. As Draco locks down Kespainify into the Shockwave after the Cataclysm. Fear no Evil forced out, but Warchi's already gotten LeMoGoW. Tier 1 tower, that one's coming down as well. It's Fusify that gets the heal off, but he's going to need a little bit more than that if they can find one more auto. Impale puts him against the tower too, but Fusify's still barely holding on.
Joe's so close, finally finished off by WorstTurttle, and now some more objectives should be following soon.
Yeah, this tier 2 tower should be all Team Queso here now. Flashpoint yet again forced out, and somehow they're coming out, it feels like, just little small margins ahead of where their opposition is in all these sort of scrappy fights. And it's worked out for Queso. They can now head back towards this FG, since Flashpoint is still a bit of ways from having all 5 members.
But it won't be that long. I mean, 13 seconds on Erlang Shen, 7 seconds on Osiris.
Yeah.
No teleport up for MoGoW, and that is relevant in this moment. But we've seen Queso be really hesitant to pull fire in game 1 when they had a massive lead. This is not a massive lead. It's not, insurmountable from Flashpoint's perspective. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Queso be a little bit more hesitant around this Fire Giant than maybe they should be.
They are indeed hedging their bets. It's Gold Fury that Draco and Warchi pull, and this should be all theirs. WorstTurttle now here along with Chekio to keep them zoned away. And that's going to be some extra much-needed gold in the pockets now for Team Queso. Now the question becomes, how could Flashpoint start looking to slow down some of this momentum? For me, it's felt like since the early game, Johnny's not been able to find the big Fear No Evils that you really want. Not because he's missing the timing or anything like that, but these fights are so chaotic, so spread out. It's never Flashpoint that are setting them up.
The fights are very spread out, but Dracomarino is continually being the fire starter. He's the one to blink Cataclysm. So maybe try and go on the back line when Draco's going to blink in. That means the back line's unprotected.
Julio is forced to use a Lawbringer defensively to retreat. WorstTurttle moves in, doesn't find much. LeMoGoW has taken quite a bit of damage. And Team Queso look like they're not looking for much more on this aggression beyond the FG. In fact, Flashpoint might be able to keep surging forward, and they will. There's the Fear No Evil we said that we needed. Chekio survives the initial damage of the Negative Zone and gets the rewind off, so he's right back into the thick of it. But Fusify's there waiting for him, so is Kespainify, but WorstTurttle and Warchi had different plans. They both go down quickly.
Perfect job by Queso. Johnny does finally find Chekio, but it might cost him his whole team. He's already used the beads, already used the jump. And Warchi just needs to find the autos.
Yeah, Johnny might have started turning away from this fight a little bit too soon, too. Might at least be able to get one more, but instead he starts the retreat. LeMoGoW should be safe underneath the tier 2, but it's hard to imagine a world where Johnny makes it out now.
Jumps up. Doesn't get knocked away. That's all I was going to say. I was worried about that, but finally brought down. Warchi still looking for LeMoGoW, and needs to jump away because he was not winning that engagement.
They're still low, though, on the side of Queso, so I don't know how comfortable they're going to feel coming back towards this Fire Giant. Looks like they are indeed all going to be backing. I mean, FaraKrik's going to be back up quite shortly, so is Fusify. Kespainify not too far behind. So it is another one fight for Queso, but another fight where I don't know if they can feel comfortable starting to look for objectives.
Just a fight that I think should have gone a lot better.
For Flashpoint.
No, I think Queso actually played that pretty well. I mean, sure, Johnny finds the ultimate on the Chekio, and he doesn't have beads, and the rewind puts him in a weird spot, but it wasn't a bad one because his whole front line was right there. A beautiful ultimate from Draco. He's in the perfect position, but then I think it just takes them too long to kill Johnny. He's able to buy too much time. That should have been a much easier back to fire sort of setup.
They have the Fire Giant pulled and below half now, but they're leashing it. They want the fight instead. Julio has LeMoGoW controlled as Fusify steps forward looking for a bit more, but way in the back line, WorstTurttle was trying to take down FaraKrik, and he did his job. Warchi comes in to clean up the actual kill credit. Kespainify low as well, and Julio is on a mission to hunt him down. That's another easy kill right into Fusify. Why not target swap? Aegis buys him a moment. That's Aegis on your support, by the way, and even still, he ends up falling. Add the tier 2 tower to the collection, and Queso just got a 3 for 0.
So I was just saying that Johnny buying a lot of time was a real positive for Flashpoint, but in that instance it ended up being a negative because he was really staggered and wasn't there for that fight. This focus on the FaraKrik has been solid. We've talked a lot about Fusify's rough set. FaraKrik's also had a pretty rough one as well. I mean, game 1 on the Janus didn't do a whole lot. Game 2 on the Soul did okay, but nothing that jumped off the page. And in game 3, he's really focused effectively.
We're working our way towards, you don't get losses without mistakes coming from a lot of places, so it certainly makes some sense as Flashpoint in a little bit more trouble. Johnny ends up dropping right side, Phoenix falling too, and there might even be some end potential for Queso. No, they're going to back off on this one.
Smart.
With FaraKrik coming back up, LeMoGoW and Fusify all here. It's not going to be easy. The WorstTurtle's laying a bit of a trap. In comes Julio as well. I think Flashpoint might have stepped a bit too far forward on this one. Fusify isolated way in the back line. Even with the heal, he falls down the Warchi. He was unstoppable.
Man, beautiful trap laid there by Queso. The synchronized dive, basically, right into the back line with Julio and WorstTurtle and Dracomarino all at the exact same time. Beautifully done.
Time for the retreat. Team Queso still have not grabbed the actual FG for themselves, and none has been gotten in nearly 29 minutes of play at this point. Flashpoint, they're down, about 12 to 13,000 gold. It is still very difficult for them to fight in, but the longer this game goes without Queso making any big, decisive, game-ending plays, then the more chance Flashpoint has to get back into this. WorstTurtle recognized FaraKrik was backing, but couldn't get there in time.
It's a great opportunity to actually do the Fire Giant, but as I've said, Queso has been pretty hesitant to do it full on. LeMoGoW's here, but he's completely alone. This is a great opportunity to just pick off the Soul Link.
I think so too. They're going to grab the Fire Giant first and now turn their attention towards the Osiris or the Afterlife. Used defensively, immediately caught for the last breath, brought back in, pinned against the wall, and a pretty clean kill up against the Osiris. They even still have quite a few ultimates remaining for this push.
I don't know if that's just a bad team call by Flashpoint to say, yeah, MoGoW, go ahead and give it the old college try on the steal, but it was a bad call if that was the plan. I also don't love what I'm seeing right now from Queso. I feel like they should have just grouped up and ran it right down mid when they've got the 4v5 and try and get that Phoenix with a fresh Fire Giant buff around your waist. They're wasting time. I mean, MoGoW now, for going into steal, lost nothing at all. It didn't really impact the fight whatsoever. He gets to respawn and everything will be fine. Queso really should have tried to force that 5v4 in the mid lane.
Instead, they're now pushing up the long lane. They've got mid wave pretty close as well, though that is being handled now by Fusify and FaraKrik, it looks like. Left tier 2 tower, of course, that's going down. No big deal there at all. Flashpoint would much prefer to try and fight with MoGoW, who has now respawned around one of these Phoenixes instead, but they're down quite a bit here to Team Queso, and I believe this Fire Giant not enhanced either. They got it a little bit before the 30-minute mark, so they're gonna need minions for that backdoor protections to be removed.
Shouldn't be too difficult though. I mean, they've got Anhur and Chronos. Chronos, the best god at killing towers. Anhur, not the best hunter, no attack speed stim, but still no slouch at it as a traditional ADC. He's gonna do far more than a mage would in that slot.
4-1 split with WorstTurttle and Johnny in mid, but it looks like they've given up on that. WorstTurttle rotating over might mean that they've committed, but he'll stick in mid for now. Team Queso still biding their time a bit. Flashpoint have all their relics up except Teleport. That won't matter much, so they're definitely ready for this fight.
I like WorstTurtle's split here. He's not as good at getting these Phoenixes as, say, a Batz or an Erlang Shen would be, but has the Magi, so he's free to 1v1.
An ambush over the wall means he's immediately ready to be in the fight. They go right for FaraKrik, way in the back line, and he is certainly dead to rights. At least tries to get off a bomb, but not much he can do. Villanueva comes out from Johnny. That slows down Queso for the moment and does set up for a nice kill to Julio, but left side Phoenix has been burned. That's exactly what Queso wanted, and now they can lock down Fusify, pull him in with the Cobra's Kiss, but they still haven't gotten the kill. Warchi finally cleans it up.
Now should be Queso just going for the Titan. I mean, maybe you finish off this mid Phoenix because it takes so little time for you, but it's time to end, fellas.
Certainly should be. They'll clean up this mini wave. Right side Phoenix should die just to pressure from the fire minions, meaning all 3 Phoenixes are down. It's a 4v3 in favor of Team Queso, and there aren't any ultimates from Flashpoint to try and help out. Warchi leaps in place. That beats Johnny, and now they can move right to the Titan. It's already down, and Team Queso hold on to take down Flashpoint.
That's a big win for Team Queso, Finch. Yeah. First week of the SML, and you take down the team that was number 2 last phase, but really spent the majority of the season number 1. That's a great win for Queso, and this is kind of why we were surprised to see them fall off so heavily towards the back end of phase 1, because we know they have that kind of potential.
They absolutely do have this upside potential, but I think that the word we use when we describe Queso is inconsistent. They can have games where they look like this, and then they have games where it looks the exact opposite. So when they're consistently doing this, I think Queso will be one of those teams you have to really worry about. To be fair, this is Flashpoint with MoGoW, though, in the solo lane. I don't think he hindered them with his play. I think he played relatively well, but obviously Flashpoint would much prefer if they're at their full strength.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was mid-support today. I mean, FaraKrik and Fusify is not on their A game, a combined 2 and 18 in that last game 3. Need a little bit better than that if you're going to clinch a set.
I agree with you on that one, Ryan. That's going to do it for only our first set of the day, believe it or not. We have plenty more SML action coming your way. Go ahead and grab your drinks, whatever you need to do. Then get right back here for more SML.